Today I'm going to show you how I designed a brand identity for a Pilates studio based in Las Vegas called the Pilates Suite. And I'm going to show you how I applied my 6-step branding process called the boutique method. Unfortunately, what most founders get wrong about branding is they think it's just about the logo or colors or fonts. So you spend on all three. You hire a designer, you launch your brand, but the brand still doesn't feel different. And that's because those design assets are actually not the problem. The real problem sits one level up, and the case study that I'm about to walk you through is called the Pilates Suite. Now see, the Pilates industry is exploding, but here's the twist. 90% of Pilates studios are still competing for the same customer, and it's usually women who are under 30 years old who show up for the aesthetic. They want to look like that girl. And usually the Pilates industry is looking like matching sets and content optimized studios. Now this is all great to initially attract a customer, but if every other studio is doing it, there is no way that you can last and you can survive in that industry. Now meanwhile, the fastest growing motivator in that category isn't aesthetic at all. It's longevity. Women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s are investing in their fitness and specifically Pilates because they want to age strong and not because of the aesthetic. Mobility, injury prevention, functional training for the next 30 years. And that customer has completely different needs, completely different aesthetic preferences, and is currently being served by nobody. So when a client from Las Vegas came to me to design her Pilates studio with this exact target audience, I had to say yes. Now what I liked about the name the Pilates Suite is that it's a play on the concept of a hotel. The founder wanted their studio to feel like a 5-star experience. And also the founder's story was so sharp, and that was the reason why we had a strong foundation to start with. To give you a bit of background, she started out as a client, a new mom who just moved to Vegas and needed to rebuild a sense of self. And there she fell in love with Pilates. Then she became a member, and then an instructor, and then now a co-owner. And she grew that first studio by 60% in 2 years and decided to open a second one, the Pilates Suite. And from her story, from what she's experienced, we were able to build a very strong brand from that. Now, before I introduce you to design, the reason that we got so clear on the strategy phase is because of my brand discovery questionnaire. And it is the same questionnaire I have used with every client for the last 5 years. And it covers things like story, purpose, target customers, competitors, what the clients like, any design preferences. And if you actually want to apply step 1 of the boutique method to your brand, the brand discovery questionnaire is the tool. And I just packaged that exact one and released it. So whether you're a founder trying to understand more about how to uncover the human characteristics about your brand, or you're a brand designer who's struggling to know what questions to ask your client, the link is in the YouTube description below. Okay, now let's get into design. The issue that I see is if you're pulling inspiration from your competitors, you're bound to look similar to them. And the whole point of branding is to look different. Before you pull a single direct category reference, look at neighboring industries. For the Pilates Suite, that meant pulling for boutique hotels. Not what other Pilates studios do, but where does the one that the customer already feels understood? The one-on-one experience of a 5-star hotel became the emotional target. And this is the mood board that we finally ended up going with. It is logo design. And this is where the real difference of the project showed up. Direction 1 was a straight editorial serif. It was classic, it was elevated, and fashion adjacent. But the second I stepped back, I realized a lot of Pilates studios use their serif font. So how can I make it different but still relevant to the industry? And so I decided to just start erasing different parts of the letters. And then from here, I kind of just liked what the H and A, there was scope to do that. And I was thinking, how could I bring in movement? So then I just started tilting things around. A huge thing about Pilates is the poses, and I really liked this, so I thought this was quite unique. And then this was the second option that I proposed to the client. Now this was more minimal, it was more with sharper cuts, but I liked the fact that it had alternating widths. And at this stage, I wanted the client to just let me know what type of word mark she liked better, because then from there, I was going to build the icon. And when I presented it to her, she fell in love with option 1. Now when it comes to the icon design, that's where I went down a rabbit hole. So you can see over here that my initial instinct was to work and create a monogram. So I just took out the letters TPS and I was just playing around with how they could interlock with each other. I used different letters like a slab serif, then something that was more sharper. And no matter what I did, I just felt like it was something that I had seen before in Pinterest, and I didn't want that to happen. So I asked a different question, not what monogram works for the letters, but what does the brand actually stand for and how could that be encoded into a symbol? And the answer came from the name itself, the Pilates Suite. And a suite is a private space which needs to be unlocked. And a suite is also granted to a certain kind of guest. And one image is stuck in my mind, a key. So what I did is then I started playing with the P and S, and I used the T as the top part. And I was trying to make my own custom key. And this is what I landed on. So the client came back with a reference she loved, and I went back and I rebuilt it from scratch. Which is honestly when the strongest icons happen. You have to be willing to abandon your first initial concepts and willing to start again. And what I realized is the head of the key became the answer. I integrated the P and the S, the initials of Pilates Suite, into this clover-like shape at the top. And then I encased the whole icon into a double-rounded frame, because a suite isn't just a room, right? It's a contained space. So the frame itself became part of that meaning. The initials, which is the brand's identity hidden inside the ornament, and then the frame, which resembles the suite, which is in a contained environment. One mark and 3 ideas. Then step 4 of the boutique method is what I call a curated color palette. And the anchor color for the Pilates Suite is a dark olive green, and I want to be really clear about why. Because green has become such a trendy palette in the wellness industry lately, and this is not that. This dark olive green wasn't chosen because it's on trend. It was chosen because it signals, again, 3 things. The brand needs to signal on first look, trust, warmth, and groundedness. There are no bright colors in the palette because pastels are what the 25-year-old market uses. And the moment a mature woman walks past a Pilates studio, she's going to read it as, this is not for me. And the palette does the pre-qualification for that. It tells the wrong customer to keep walking, and it tells the right one to stop. And that's what a defended palette does. Every color is doing all the heavy lifting. Then step 5 is the typography. So what I did for the heading is I, again, like the editorial feel of it, and I just like that high fashion quality, which I think would look so intentional for the brand. But then I also think that I needed to balance it out, so I used a very highly legible and approachable sans serif font. But I liked that it was quite tall, which matched the Ivy Presto headings. And with the subtitles and buttons, I wanted to provide a clean, structured contrast. And so I liked that this was very geometric, it was sans serif, and it almost looked like a font that you would see in a hotel menu or in a fancy restaurant. And I thought that was a perfect addition to the font suite. And step 6 is the moment where the brand stops being a PDF and starts being something you walk into. And so to help the client imagine how the brand would look like in real life, I first showed them how it would look like on a signage, on different studio collaterals like over here with a water bottle, how it could look like on a stationery kit, on their service list, and email signature. And I also designed some custom Instagram templates, which you can see how they've used on their Instagram page. The Instagram grid is built on the Canva templates that I designed, and it alternates between editorial photography and typographic statements. Here you can see a little behind the scenes of how the logo is being fixed on the building and how all the interior walls are painted in that olive color, and every touch point is doing the pre-qualification. If you recognize yourself in the brand, you found your studio. Now I want to come back to the reframe of the start of this video. The idea that your logos, colors, and typography are not the problem. When you pick a specific customer and not a specific aesthetic or price point, every downstream decision becomes very obvious. Your semi-private pricing becomes easier to justify, your lifetime value went up, and word of mouth compounds faster. Niching is not just a marketing decision, but it also leads to a design decision. And if you're building a Pilates, wellness, or hospitality brand right now, and you're tired of fighting for the same customer every single person is fighting for, this is the work that I do. I take on a small amount of brand identity projects each month, and the founders that I work with already have a product and service in place, and then building and designing the brand is the next step to unlock the next stage. And if that's you and if you'd like to work together, there's also a discovery call in the description. And as I shared before, if you want to apply step 1 of the boutique method to your brand, you can grab my brand discovery questionnaire as well. The same one that I used for the Pilates Suite founder, and the same one that I used to know how you can actually design for that target customer. And my Temper House case study is next up if you want to see how I built a brand identity for a sauna house and a cold plunge studio. And you can see how this method is applied to a different wellness category. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.